Hello everybody, J-Bo here once again to show something really cool. And this is a really excellent handgun. My brother owns one as well. You can see on here it's Canik, or pronounced in Turkish, Canik, Canik, Chunk, whatever the hell it is, doesn't matter. I'm calling it Canik. So anyway, this is a great firearm that I purchased used in 2020, a couple of years ago, and have since put about 2,000 rounds through it since I got it. I don't know how many rounds went through it prior. It looked still kind of new, sort of, but it had some wear on it. So it was used. And let's just open this up. This is the case that it came with, and I should mention this is a 2015 model, and it is the one with the decocker on top that people couldn't figure out why it was there. And I'll talk a little bit about that from what I've learned about it. And you can see it's got some significant wear showing up. And right here, holster wear. Quite prevalent, actually. And I shoot a lot of steel ammo through this, which I handled it just fine. And one thing people like about this year is that sight. I mean, look at that. I mean, that is perfect. And this little line right here, when I got it, was black. And I think the person who had it before colored it in, because I know it's supposed to have that. So I used a paint pen and colored it in, wiped off the excess, and it filled in the hole. And I put that back. So those sights are great, and I cannot miss with this handgun. And that's something I can actually say is I shoot well. I do. And it's not bragging. It's just something I'm good at, I guess. So we see all this wear right here. Also on the finish, which I don't know what it has for finish. I'm guessing it's a Cerakote type thing rather than a bluing, because it does not look like bluing. But it is a very good firearm. And the other thing that's cool about it is it doesn't take much to cock it. So I might as well just get this decocker thing out of the way. It's this gizmo on the top. Let's see how that pushes in. A lot of people don't like the location of it, and I can understand that. And if you have this, check it, make sure it's clear. See, it's clear, nothing in there. And it has an indicator to let you know that it's cocked. This little red dot. When you fire it, it goes away. And what's cool about this is if you have this like this, and let's say you're struggling with somebody and you need to cock it, if you just put a little bit of pressure on something, like your leg, you don't even have to rack it all the way. It just recocks, as long as you get a round in there already. So it's pretty easy to do that. And that's literally all you need to cock it. So the point with this decocker that people did not understand, and I agree, I really have no use for this being on this firearm. I really don't. This firearm does not have a safety. And if you decock it, well, if you holster it decockered, and decockered, that's funny. But if you holster it like this, obviously when you pull it out, you don't have a double action to start firing the first shot like a Beretta does, or the classic vintage styled Beretta. So you still have to do this. So the point of having this decocker is kind of defeated by it not having a double action, single action, where your first shot would be double action, and then after you fire a round, it would cock itself for the next rounds, like a Beretta works. So consequently, I guess they got rid of that off the top. And the 2015 model had these grooves on the top to cut down on glare. And it's really not an issue anyway, which is probably why they got rid of that for the models after this. But it is a great sight picture. And as stated, I cannot miss with this. And now one of my brothers is going to watch this video probably, because he owns one of these too, which is, he has a later version of this. And actually a earlier version, not earlier, later. He's one of the newest versions of this. So he will probably comment on the accuracy of this firearm. Now, I was shooting a CCI aluminum case target range ammo. Pretty inexpensive and very good ammo. This gun absolutely ate it up and loved it. But I was literally shooting at 48 yards with this. 48 yards, hitting a 3-inch Handgun steel target and other targets, and I just could not miss with it. It has a fantastic trigger, which is the other great feature on this. The trigger on this is astounding. So you get that little bit of trigger safety. Nice break. Hold the trigger. Reset it. And it's like right where you had pulled it. There's no take up. So it has a nice smooth. And the other thing I like about it is it's serrated on the front of this trigger guard. And I use that when I'm shooting. I put my finger right around the front, and I have big hands and a good grip. Now, when you're holding a firearm, you should not have any slop in your grip. When you're shooting and you have your grip that you're going to shoot, if somebody came up to you and put their hand on top and tried to move your hand, it should fight against it. That's how stiff you should hold your firearm when you fire, or else you're going to miss a lot of the times. So just make a small adjustment with that and use your front sight. That's the most important thing, getting your front sight on there, and using the rear sights as just a general reference. Try to ignore all of this stuff, except for kind of look at it with your peripheral vision, but focus on your front sight. And the way this shows up on here is exactly how it should look when you're shooting. The rear sight should be a little bit out of focus, and the front sight should be very focused. And I guarantee you, if you have a firm grip and a nice trigger pull without jerking, you will have excellent marksmanship. So anyway, the gun itself, with that wonderful trigger and other features, I mean, it breaks down easy as well. It has a slide stop, like you would. And it works like any other firearm like that. There's no safety other than the trigger safety, which is okay. And we have the mag release button, which works well. Everything functions on this. And it's got a little bit of a shake, but it's a polymer. And when I take it apart, I'll show you what minimal wear it has. And it really is a great firearm. I really like it. And you also have this some short little Picatinny on the bottom that you can put stuff on if you want to put a light or what have you. I don't use anything on it. I just use it like this. And I do carry this sometimes, along with a Smith & Wesson 40 caliber. But I do carry this one sometimes. And this is the SA designation, which is single action. They have the SF during this time period, which was the Special Forces one. And I don't know whether the other models that they have, I would assume that they would have one somewhere that was a double action, single action. I haven't seen one, but anyway, when I got this, the rear sight was off a little bit for me, and it was really in here very well, held on by 2 hex head screws, set screws, and loosen those up, and I had to bang the hell out of this to move it just a smidge. It was crazy, but I did, and it's fine. Dead accurate for me. I can pull this out of my holster and pick things off. It's just, I cannot say any bad things about this. I have no complaints about it, other than that decocker. Now, the other problem with the decocker is, let's say you have an attacker in your house, and you're fending him off with one hand. Let's say you've got his shirt, and you're wrestling with him, and you have your hand like this, and he puts his hand on yours to fight with you. Okay, picture that. Well, guess what? He just decocked your gun. Now what are you going to do? It's not going to fire. So even if you do get it free, you're kind of screwed. So you kind of like have to do that thing that I was talking about, where you put the rear sight against your pant leg or something. Just a little bit. That's all you need, like that, with one finger, and it will recock. So if you can do that quick enough while you're fighting on your leg to recock it, then you'll be okay while you're still struggling with them. But that's the sort of thing you would have to do with this, which is why a lot of people don't like this gun. Other than it performs brilliantly and perfectly, that's the only flaw I can see with it. So I'm assuming they remedied this issue since 2015. They did on my brother's. But anyway, the release of this is very easy. Just pull down on both sides on this pull down release. Comes right off. It's probably the easiest one I have ever seen, that I've used anyway. Not that I'm a grandiose expert in firearms or anything. I've fired a handful. I'm in no way an expert on anything, but I do know when something is nice and easy to deal with, probably for that reason. Everything in here works fine, and this trigger is very, very smooth and very good. That's the real key thing with these, is they shoot well. And you also have different back straps you can put on. This one came with an extra, kind of a smaller one. And I have big hands, and this fills it perfect. Feels good. And it came with a speed loader, which is kind of cool, which I don't use. I load magazines by hand. I don't use a loader. And I think a lot of people do when they first start out, but after a while I just realize it's kind of a pain in the rear end. And we'll get the quality control doohickey thingamajigger. And we have, I'll wrestle with it, the little dummy bullet that it comes with when you buy it. So it had all of its parts, and it came with a magazine, 2 magazines, one inserted in here, and the other one was separate. So I had purchased this used, and it came with 3. So obviously, excuse me, it has the 2 that came with it, and the extra one that was purchased, which is a Megcar, which are very good magazines. Very impressed with these. These have not had anything done to them. 18 shots, 9 millimeters. So I got some target rounds in here I'm going to shoot this weekend. And I have my defense ammo in this one, which I'm not going to shoot. But I have some good hollow points in here, and handles everything. I have shot everything through this Megcar magazine. Made in Italy. The firearm has been able to handle everything. I have shot through it. I've shot everything from Winchester, Remington, Red Army, steel case ammo, tool ammo, Wolf. Have never had a malfunction on this. Not one single one. And that's the other beautiful thing about this firearm. And I've put 2 1,000 round cases through it since I've had it, plus other boxes of 9mm. We go shooting every weekend, so, you know, I realize it's hard to stock up on ammo that way when you shoot it all, but, you know, I'm in my 50s, and I really don't anticipate running through the jungle chasing after communists anytime soon in my future, even if that should be the thing that should be done. There are much younger people with better stamina that can go do that without me dying of a coronary or something. So I'll stay in the rear and work on vehicles or shuffle paperwork or something, but I don't know how to shoot, damn it. But anyway, this is a really nice quality built. You feel it, it's got some weight to it and some heft. And you get the typical things you would expect. It's just a very well built, and it doesn't require much lubrication. I put a little bit of lube where the recoil spring and the rod sit against the bottom part here in the barrel assembly, and literally that's it. Comes apart that easy. Now you can see a little bit of wear here, to be expected, on the end of the barrel. Like I said, I have shot at least 2,000 rounds, 2 cases of 9mm, plus bunch of extra boxes, a few hundred anyway, a few hundred rounds. And just in 2 years, and as you can see, it's doing very well. And I believe I saw on the EGW website, the Gunworks website, which is really good, that you can still buy a barrel for $110. So it's like you'd have a whole new gun for $110 basically. And I see no signs of this wearing out, actually. And what I'll do is I'll get a flashlight so we can, I'll put it on the next brightest. Hopefully that will focus enough. There we go, that ain't bad. Oh, there we go. Anyway, it's nice and clean, good quality. Has really good grooves left in it. And, you know, I can just tell that this is going to be around for a long time still. You shoot this and you can feel it. It literally, you just shoot at what you're aiming at and you'll hit it. And I have old eyeballs. I need reading glasses, and on days that aren't sunny, I have a hard time focusing on my sights. I do use shooting glasses that are 1x magnifiers, which helps me a great deal with that. But long range, I can still see well, fortunately. But anything within 4 feet of my face, I have a difficult time with, and that's really unfortunate, because that's where most of your business goes on the front end of your gun. So when I shoot my Henry lever gun, for example, I have to use a number 2x magnifier because the front sight is seemingly 1.5 feet out further than on a handgun extended, or close to it. It's a little bit further anyway, probably 1 foot. So those are the adjustments I've had to make. That's the joys of getting old. But anyway, this recoil spring on this rod, this guide rod, is still good. And it is a steel guide rod, which is good for obvious reasons. Some manufacturers on budget guns don't have steel guide rods. They get a polymer plastic composite thing and they break after a while. Fortunately, those are pretty cheap sometimes. But all in all, there's not much to this handgun really that you need to deal with for cleaning. It cleans very easy in minutes, and I have been very pleased with it. Now, the other issue I wanted to mention, and it is an important one, is safety. This firearm does have a safety flaw, in my opinion, because of the holster. Now, I have a video that I uploaded which shows that. See how easy that goes back together, and you're right in business again. Everything works well. For the magazine goes in kind of hard when it's not, and you don't have anything in it. When you have it open like this, it goes right in like nothing. No effort at all. So if you were using it and it locked open, it doesn't take anything at all to push a magazine in. But if you have it closed and you go to put it in like this, now you have to put some effort, but it's still not bad. Then obviously you rack it and start shooting. I'll double check it to make sure I didn't rack one because I was talking. And you can see that the key thing that I do all the time is always safety. Check your handgun, check it again, check it again. You're at the range, you checked it, you put it away. You get home, you take it out, check it again. You're gonna hand it to somebody to look at, you check it again, and then you do the bonus thing of locking it open and handing it to them like that, not pointed at them. So then they can take it and they know it's unloaded. It's a comfort level thing. It's courtesy. It's etiquette. And you know the gun's unloaded. Everybody else knows it's unloaded. But the person you're handing it to might not have seen you check it. And if you go to show it to him like this and you're pointing it right at his stomach, here, check this out. Anybody sees this pointing at them like this, they're going to be like, oh, hey, what are you doing? Stop that. And then you say, well, I knew it was unloaded. Well, that's not good enough, really. That's not a good answer. So just do things properly, intelligently, and c'est la vie. Now, the thing I wanted to talk about with safety is we have this holster that came with this one. This was included with it. And it has this strap, which has been used a lot, and it hasn't broken. There's no signs of wear. It's good quality stuff. Very impressed. I have seen this same holster on sale on places like eBay and Gunbroker once in a while, and people want $65-70 for this holster because you can't get them anymore unless you buy a newer one, which I think probably might have a better holster, but this is the old school strap over, snaps on. And the problem that this has for me, and I actually did this, that's why I'm mentioning this. So you need to be careful with these, whether it's Canik or any other brand that has this type. Be very careful. Fortunately, I was in the house practicing drawing, and I did not have any live ammo in the firearm. So that was a good thing. But, you know, let's say you got it cocked. You go to put it in your holster, and you got to remember this is tucked in your belt, and you're probably looking at what you're going to be shooting at, and, you know, you got your gun here. You go to put it in. See that? The loop is going right through the trigger guard. Guess what's going to happen when you drop this in here? It's going to fire. That's exactly what it did to me. Now, if I would have had a live round in there, that would have fired towards my feet. Probably would have missed because the way I carry it, it probably would have shot 3 inches or 4 inches away from my foot into the ground, but you could have had splatter from it go through my shoe or, you know, whatever. The point is, I just showed you how this can happen and how easy it happens. I think these straps should not be used on holsters for that reason. But now that I'm aware of it, I mentally do this when I holster it. So it's something you need to pay attention to, but these are really cool because they unclasp easily, and you can do that virtually in one motion and draw. And the other thing, when you draw, you should practice drawing in steps. Just practice unlatching. Do that a gazillion times, okay? Unlatching, pulling your firearm out in one motion. Never having your finger on the trigger when you pull it out of your holster. Get in that habit. So we get that motion, pull it out, stop, turn the firearm and push it forward like that, and you get your grip. Now you still don't have your finger on the trigger. So through this whole motion of drawing and pushing it forward, never have your finger on the trigger. That way you're not going to shoot yourself in the leg or somebody else. And the reason why you want to do that is if you have adrenaline flowing because you're just getting into it with somebody and you need to defend yourself, it would be very easy with, especially a gun like this, to pull that trigger by accident and shoot somebody to the left that you're trying to help, or yourself, or whatever. Or the person that you don't really want to shoot unless you have to. You know, you don't want to shoot him by accident either. So the whole point of using the firearms to protect yourself, and you don't want to have to use it if you don't have to. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Practice, 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 and I was dry practicing and it fired on me. So even when you're being careful, accidents can happen. That's the point. So that definitely would have fired by accident. Now, I could have just easily not mentioned it in a video. Oh, geez, nobody needs to know that. I'm embarrassed. But, you know, the point is nobody's perfect. Nobody. Paul Harrell's not perfect. Hickok 45's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. That's why you check your firearms all the time and you go through everything you do to make sure you're always as safe as possible. And even then, you can still have an accidental negligent discharge and you learn something new on the range. But if you always have it pointed down range and not at your friend standing next to you, an accidental discharge is a learning experience rather than a tragedy. So, and it's really important because I think everybody has had an accidental discharge at some point, either because a part malfunctioned. Perfect example, my brother Jim is returning his Henry single shot 4570 rifle that he had purchased and, you know, didn't know there was a recall on it. Well, guess what? The gun went off by itself. And guess what? He had it pointed in a safe direction and it hurt nobody. All it did was it hit the ground. And that's what it's supposed to do because he did everything the way you're supposed to do safely. So anyway, Henry is sending a box for him to mail it back. They're going to fix it free of charge because they're a good company, and they'll put a whole new trigger in there, trigger group, which will be lovely when it's fixed. But, you know, that's exactly why you're careful. He did not know there was a recall on that, and it went off by accident. And we found out because after that happened, we went and looked it up online, and sure enough, there was a recall on those because they fire by themselves if they're loaded. You could just have it standing up in the closet loaded, and it'll just randomly go off by itself. So that's why you need to be careful and safe. So anyway, I hope this video helps anybody that owns this firearm. And you can see the 1.5 on the end for the year 2015, I believe. 18 rounds, AP 245, whatever the hell that is. But you will not do yourself wrong getting a Canik firearm, especially those new TP SFX gizmos. Like my brother Jim got the Whiteout Signature Series, which he will be getting actually delivered Friday this week. So that should be a fun firearm as well. So do not fear the Canik. They are a good investment. And as you can see, you can literally put thousands of rounds through it and it'll still perform the way it's supposed to. It's a quality, first-class firearm that easily could have sold for $300 or $400 more than it did, in my opinion, just on build quality alone. So that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and stay safe, go shooting, and if you're fortunate enough to be able to stock up on ammo, well, God bless you. But I shoot pretty much everything I get because we go shooting a lot and life is short and I want to unload my ammo. So have a good one. Thanks for watching. I know this is a half-hour long. My apologies. But anyway, this is the Canik TP9 SA firearm from 2015. Highly recommended. Go pick it up if you can find one or get a new one. Bye.